Good evening, Northview parents, guardians, and students. Welcome to tonight's How to Apply to College Information Evening. This evening is hosted by the Northview Guidance Department. Before we start, we'd like to start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge we are hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. The purpose of tonight's event is to gain a thorough understanding of the college application process. Tonight, we will go over such things as how to access students' guidance counselors and important information throughout the school year. We will also go over the student credit counseling summary and graduation requirements, how to research college programs, important dates and deadlines, step-by-step instructions on how to apply to college, and some tips and suggestions for after you apply. This session is being recorded and will be posted on the Northview site on the Northview tab at www.northviewheights.ca in the guidance tab under post-secondary education. We in the guidance department want to be able to communicate information throughout the year. There's many important points throughout the year and different information sessions that the guidance department organizes that we would like to relay on to our students. We encourage all students to join our guidance Google Classroom. Tonight's presentation is specifically for our grade 12 potential graduates. And our grade 12 guidance Google Classroom code is the one that you can see on the screen. This information can also be found on the guidance office door. So if students have any questions or haven't joined yet and would like to join, we encourage everybody to do so. Also, we highly encourage all of our students to book appointments with their guidance counselor. We have noticed that students who ask questions and book appointments with their guidance counselors, do their research and go over important information, are more confident with the application processes and in the direction that they would like to go after high school. We have scanned barcodes for each of us. At Northview, there are 4 guidance counselors. I am Ms. Tanrikulu. I am responsible for students whose last names begin from A to C and M. Also, there's Ms. Dobbin. Ms. Dobbin is responsible for students whose last names begin from D to K and N. And she is also responsible for visa students A to O. We have Ms. Allison. Ms. Allison is responsible for students whose last names begin from O to R, and she's also responsible for our APCA program students and ISP students. And we have Ms. Pavlik-Trias. Ms. Pavlik-Trias is responsible for students whose last names begin from S to Z and L, and she's also responsible for visa students whose last names begin from P to Z. All of this information, including our contact information, can also be found on northviewheights.ca in the guidance tab. So we have scanned barcodes. Students can scan the barcode and have access to our appointment links. And we encourage everyone to book an appointment and have those meaningful discussions with us. Next slide.
So it is important as a potential grad for each of you that are here to make sure that you are familiar with the graduating requirements. This slide should be very familiar to all of you as it is the credit counseling summary. It lists every course that you have earned or taken or are taking over the years. And it also highlights specific information that is important for you to know when applying, and to know when you're and to know to ensure that you graduate. So the first circle up at the top of the credit counseling summary is the OEN. That number stands for Ontario Education Number. This number is going to be required when applying, and Ms. PT will go over that information later on in the presentation. But take note on the OEN number is also on your timetable and on your report cards that you have received over the years. The next part that's very important is your community hours. For every student who is graduating this year by August 31st, you are required to have a minimum of 20 hours, as the government has reduced it due to the pandemic. If there happens to be anyone here who is not graduating by the end of August 31st, you are still required to have the 40 hours. As you complete those hours, we strongly encourage all students to submit these hours to their guidance counselor in the guidance office. If you are a virtual learner, you can email those forms to the guidance counselor. If you do not have the volunteer form to have completed, we do have one posted in the Guidance Google Classroom that Ms. Tamakulu referred to earlier. And we do have it also on the Northview Heights website page under the volunteer tab under guidance. For anyone graduating this year, the literacy test requirement is going to be waived for you. So that's once again, if you are going to complete all other requirements by the end of August 31st, the literacy test requirement will be waived and you will not be required to write this test. If there is anyone who is in this presentation today who will be earning their final credit or completing their final community hour after August 31st, you will be required to write the test, and it will be running this year, both in the fall and in the spring. Listed across the bottom of your credit counseling summary are all of the courses that are required for students in order to graduate. Across the top where it says REQ, those are the number of credits that you are required to have for each of the specific subject areas. And then, of course, there is the elective at the end where it says there are 12 electives that students take. Across the bottom, it says earned. And that is what you have currently earned as a student as you earn your credits across the 4 years or 5 years that you have been here at Northview. We strongly encourage all of you to look at your credit counseling summaries carefully to ensure that you have all of your compulsories. We have had some students in the past forget or miss a group 1, group 2, group 3. This is also posted in my blueprint. So if my blueprint gives you some kind of error, we encourage you to make an appointment with your guidance counselor. If you're an in-person learner, those barcodes that Ms. Tamakulu referred to are on the bulletin boards all across the school. If you are a virtual learner, once again, you can go to the Google Classroom and click on the link on how to book a guidance counselor appointment, and all of our appointment links are there. If you are concerned in any way, shape, or form, whether or not you have the requirements to graduate, please book a guidance counselor appointment as soon as possible. My blueprint also has a list of your courses that you have earned, and it will be important that you pay attention to your courses and the types of classes you have when doing your research. Ms. Dobbin will go over the details of research in a few moments, but remember, these courses are listed in my blueprint and on your credit counseling summary. The important part that you want to pay attention to is the type of codes that you have listed on your credit counseling summary. Many people are taught about grade 9 and grade 10, academic, applied, locally developed, but many don't focus carefully on their grade 11 and grade 12 courses. These courses are important for your application to your college programs, whether they're degree programs or whether they're diploma or certificate. The different levels are identified by the 5th digit in the course code. And as the slide shows you, the U stands for university, the mixed stands for university and college, so that's the M. The college stands for C, or is represented by C. O is open, and E is workplace. The U and the M classes are needed and required for degree programs. So if you are looking at things during your research, as Ms. Dobbin will go into detail in a moment, the U and the M level classes are required for those programs. The college level course, along with the U and the M, are recognized for diploma and certificate programs. The O and the E are not used for applications in the college programs. So if you happen to have an English 4E class, many, probably 99% of the college programs that are listed in the Ontario Colleges Programs website, you do not have a requirement and are not currently eligible to apply to a college program. If you have any questions about this and you are in that situation, please book a guidance appointment and we will begin to help you. I will pass it on to Ms. Dobbin, who will show you a little bit about making sure you have all your research completed properly so that you are ready and able to apply to college.
Hi, so this is an overview of how to research college programs. In guidance, we have created our own worksheets where you can record information, important information about programs that you are interested in. And these are available in paper form in the guidance office. They are also available in digital form as editable PDFs in the Guidance Google Classroom and on our website. So northviewheights.ca, guidance, and then post-secondary education. So this is a table that you can use to organize programs you're interested in. And on the bottom, it tells you the website to go to, so ontariocolleges.ca. So when we go to that website, this is what you'll see, and you want to click on programs. So then this comes up. So there's two options at this point. One is to search by keyword. So if there's a word that you think covers the category of the type of program you're interested in, then you could type that in. The other way is by category. So you can see a number of categories listed. So you can click on the one that you think most interests you. Today, we're going to look at health, food, and medical category. So within that category, there are several choices, and today we're going to choose nursing. Now, this will come up where it'll explain a bit about what to expect from a career in nursing in this example. And then as you scroll down, you will see a list of possible programs. These are across all Ontario colleges. So on the left side is a great way to reduce your list through a search filter. So first of all, let's focus on the start date. So most students will be starting in September 2022. So you look for the range, the month range that's there. And I believe in the brackets it says fall 2022. And then another thing to narrow your search is to look at the credential. The credential is what will you have when you complete the program successfully. So you could earn a diploma, a certificate, a degree, or a graduate certificate we can see here. So diploma is for the 4-year programs. Sorry, diplomas are 2 to 3 year programs. Certificate is usually 1. Degree programs are the 4-year programs that require the 6 courses that have for U or for M in the course code, just like university. However, you will the average for at the colleges is normally 65%, sometimes higher, whereas at universities, the averages are 70s, 80s, or 90s, depending on the program. And also, we do want to pay attention to program level. So we want to choose post-secondary because some of the programs are for students who have already completed a program at college, and then they're looking for another program. So we need to click post-secondary since we're in high school. So once you've narrowed your search down and to a more manageable list, you can click on the website of the program that interests you the most. And when you get to that, so when you get to that site, there is a place on the site that will have prerequisite information. So it is important to check that you have the courses that are needed for that program. So English will be listed, so they'll say ENG for C or for U, so either one is fine. For the diploma and certificate programs. And then they may have other course requirements, which you'll have to see if you fulfill those requirements. Other requirements may include English proficiency. So it's important to go over all of these requirements. There is a column in our worksheet to record these to make sure you have the requirements. And again, if you have any questions in terms of sorting this out or anything else, please book an appointment with your guidance counselor. So now Ms. PT's on for applying, right?
Good evening, everybody. Okay, so before I move on to applying, I just want to go back to the last slide and draw your attention to the series of letters and numbers that are at the end of the name of the program. That is the unique program code for the college. On the worksheet that Ms. Dobbin mentioned, there is a place for you to write that program code, and we highly encourage you to do so. When it's time to add programs to your application, it will be much faster and smoother if you have recorded the series of letters, numbers that are assigned to each college's unique program, because it will allow you to directly then add that program without having to do another search as we've just done here during the research. So 2 important dates. The first was today. So you're here today. So that's great. You've met the first important date of November the 11th. The next important date as far as the college process goes is February the 1st. February the 1st is considered the equal consideration date. So that means anyone who applies before that deadline will be considered for their program equally with all other students who have also applied. If you try to apply to college after February the 1st, you will still be able to apply to some programs, but you will only be able to apply to those that still have space, meaning that you will not necessarily have the same number of programs available to you as you would if you apply prior to the February 1st deadline. This is the first year that the colleges have also begun giving out offers prior to February the 1st. So as soon as you apply, you may in fact start hearing from some of your colleges giving you an offer of admission. However, as long as you apply before February 1st, you will be given equal consideration. On the back of the worksheet that we have created for you, we have this sheet for you to use to record the important information. This has your applicant's username, password, OCAS number, and a spot for you to put the OEN that Miss Allison directed you to earlier in the presentation. We highly recommend that you record all of this information because guidance has no way to access your username or password on your behalf. Should you forget your username or your password, you will not be able to create a new application as it is already linked to your OEN, and it will allow only one application per OEN number. And we will not be able to retrieve your password. You will have to deal directly with OCAS and call them to help you with either your username or password. Once we have finished applying, I will draw your attention to the applicant number that is assigned to you. It's unique to your application. Any communication that you make with OCAS after that point, you will be asked to reference this applicant number. So it's also important that you record this number down once you have completed your application. For your application fee of $95, you will be given 5 program choices. No more than 3 of these choices can be at any one college. So you cannot, for example, apply to 5 programs at Seneca. Your username, as I already mentioned, will also be permanent. So it will not change even if you update contact address, email, or anything like that. Whatever it is that you select, that will be the account that you will be moving with forward. You will use the same website to apply that we just used to research, so www.ontariocolleges.ca. There are 2 ways that you can access the initial application. The first is by the apply on the right-hand side in the top corner, and obviously by the big apply now in the center that you can select. The next part of the application process will ask you if you are either an international applicant or a Canadian applicant. If you are a student that is here on a study permit and you are currently paying fees to come to school, you are considered an international applicant. All other students, regardless of their status in Canada, are considered a Canadian applicant. I'm going to go over the international applicant portal first, because it's a little bit shorter and different, and then I'll return to the Canadian applicant portal to continue the rest of the application process. So if you are an international applicant, unfortunately, you will have to apply to each of the colleges separately. All of the international applicant portal links are on the page, and you can click on the college that you want to apply to. You will have to pay separate fees for each of those colleges. And in some cases, the colleges do limit which programs are available to international applicants. If you have any difficulty with using this, you can book a guidance appointment with either myself or Ms. Dobbin, depending on who your guidance counselor is. And also keep in mind that you should email the appropriate guidance counselor, again, either myself or Ms. Dobbin, to let us know that you have applied as an international applicant to college, because we will have to be sending your transcripts and updating them separately from the domestic applicants. For the remainder of the students, as I said, everyone else is considered a Canadian applicant, and we will go ahead now and walk through the Canadian applicant portal. The first thing that it's going to ask you to do is create a new account. It's going to ask you for your legal first name and your legal last name. It is really important that you use whatever name is found on your official documents, your birth certificate, your passport, etc. And you should also take a minute when you're checking your credit counseling summary, as Ms. Allison said earlier in the presentation, to make sure that your legal name is correct with us here at the school, as that is what we have in your records and that is what is linked to your OAN. So remember, it is your legal first and last name that you will use when creating your account. You will then also be asked to give them an email address to correspond with you. We recommend that you do not use your TDSB email address for this, as once you have graduated, your TDSB address actually goes inactive. If the colleges need to communicate with you in the summer, for example, after graduation, you will not be able to access your student email anymore to see those communications. So we recommend using a private email for that. And we also recommend using a professional email when you are applying to the colleges, as it does reflect on your application. And then you will choose a password of your own making that you will be able to remember. Be sure to write these down on the worksheet that I showed you earlier. It's then going to ask you for 3 security questions. These questions will be used if for any reason you need to retrieve your username and password. I recommend after selecting the questions and typing in the answers that you take a screenshot of this information. Sometimes we don't always remember exactly what answer we've given. We don't remember if we've capitalized it in the answer or if we've put it all in lowercase. Using all lowercase when you're doing security questions is a good strategy to help you remember how you have entered that. But I also do recommend screenshotting it so that you will see exactly what you entered, as your answers are case sensitive. Once all that is complete, you will have a confirm registration window pop up, and a confirmation email will be sent to the address that you provided to the college. At this point, you can go to that email to activate the account and log directly into the application. Or if you need to come back to it later, you can always now log in from the Ontario College's website using the login options. It will then take you once again to the Canadian and international applicant portals and ask you to log in as either a Canadian or international applicant. And then it will ask you to sign in again through the domestic applicant portal by entering your email and by entering the password that you chose. Once you have done this, it will take you to the first part of the application. You will review the legal name that you entered initially, and you will also add your date of birth. You then will read through and accept the privacy policy. And you will then read through the communication preferences and accept the communication preferences. Colleges do wish to communicate with you via email, so you will have to accept this. You will have to accept the option to receive electronic messages in order to proceed. There's 2 parts to the application profile. The first is your personal information, and the second is your education. We will quickly go through the personal information section first. For the personal information section, you'll be asked basic information about yourself. Again, your name, birth dates, etc. You'll then be asked to enter your address, to declare your citizenship status. And then finally at the bottom, I want to take a moment to draw your attention to the last question, which is about sponsorship. Sponsorship is when a business typically will actually sponsor an employee to go back to school to upgrade their skills. As high school students, sponsorship does not apply to you, so make sure that you leave it at the default of no sponsorship. Once you've completed the personal information section, it will then take you back to the profile to move on to the education section. In the education section, you will select that you are currently enrolled in a high school course, and your anticipated graduation date is June 2022 for the majority of our applicants. If you are going to be completing your final credit or credits in summer school, please adjust your anticipated graduation date to reflect that of either July 2022, or if you're taking 2 credits in the summer, August 2022. The next thing that it's going to ask you is to enter your high school. You will enter Northview's name under school name, and you are currently attending this institution. And then for the dates attended, for those of you who were born in 2004, you began with us at Northview in September of 2018. If you were born in 2003, you would have begun with us at Northview in September of 2017. This is also the page that you will link your OEN number to this application. Once you have entered Northview, it will appear on your self-declared education. If Northview is not the only high school that you have attended in Ontario, you will have to add the additional institutions as well. by selecting Add Another. So for example, if you began your grade 9 year at Jeffries, you will have to also enter Jeffries as a school that you attended, and then add the dates of which that you attended that institution. If you have any difficulty with this, you've attended more than one school and you're not really quite sure how to proceed, we do encourage you to book an appointment with your guidance counselor to help walk you through the education portion to make sure that all your education has been declared and that all of your transcripts will link correctly to the OCAS Center. That is the last part of the profile, and you have now completed it, and we are ready to start applying to our college programs. When you first are asked to start applying, it's going to ask you when you want to go to college. So it is important that everybody selects the correct date, which in your case will actually be July 31st, 2022, or after that date. Once you have selected that, it's going to ask you to confirm that one more time. So make sure that you have in fact selected that you will be attending college after July 31st, 2022. At this point, you will begin entering your programs. If you have recorded the program codes, as I told you earlier in the presentation, you can go ahead and write those program codes in the search bar, and it will immediately take you to that program and you can add it to your application. If you did not remember to write down those program codes or have since changed your mind, this program search works exactly like the program search you use to find the programs. You will type the name of the program that you will like, and then it will appear as a list of all the colleges that will offer that program. When you are adding using this method, make sure that you pay special attention to the start date, as you will see that multiple start dates will appear. You want to make sure that you select September if you are planning to go in September, or if you're taking a semester off and going in January, you can select January as your start date. But do make sure you select the correct start date, because colleges do have 3 intake cycles: September, November, and in some programs, there is also a May intake cycle. Once you have narrowed down and found the program that you want, you can use the button on the right-hand side to add that program to your list. You then repeat this process 4 more times, adding all 5 of your choices to your list. At this point, you have a chance to review the programs on your list. Again, make sure that the start date is correct and the one that you actually wanted. And you now also have the option to use the arrows on the left-hand side to change the order of the programs from the program that you are most interested in to the program that you are least interested in. The colleges have assured us that whatever choice you put their program does not impact your admission to their college. The choices are simply for you to see the order that you've selected them in, and also for the college's own internal data gathering. It does not, as I said, impact whether or not you receive an offer from that particular college. At this point, when everything is as you wish it to be, you can save and continue. It will then take you to the transcript page, where you will see all of the schools that you have added in your education section. And you can see that all of those schools, in this case Northview, are going to be directly sending your transcripts online to the colleges you have applied to. If you have noticed that you have missed a school that you attended, this would be your chance to go out of the application, go back to the education section and correct that before saving and continuing. You then reach the review section of the application. This section is very important for you to pay attention to. It will review everything that you have entered in both your personal information section and your education section. This is your last chance to make changes to your application before continuing on to payment and submission of the application. If after you have paid and submitted, you have to make changes, you will not be able to log into OCAS into your application anymore and make those changes directly. You will actually have to contact OCAS and explain to them what the error is and have them make that change for you. So this is your last chance for you to correct any errors that there may be. So please do take a minute to scroll through the review page carefully and make sure that everything has been entered, is accurate and entered according to how you wanted it to be. Once you're sure everything is fine, you continue on to the payment section. At this point, you will see the programs that you have chosen, and you will now also see that you have an outstanding balance of $95. Until you pay your application fee of $95, your application will not be submitted. So prior to you submitting your fees, the colleges do not receive notice that you have applied to their programs, and you are not being considered for those programs until after you pay the outstanding fees. The colleges prefer that you pay by credit card. So if you do not have a credit card, make sure that you have access to one either through a family member or friend. You will need it to pay. As I recognize that some high school students may not have a lot of experience with credit cards, there is one thing I do want to show you on the payment page, and that is the card security code. Every credit card has a unique security code that is normally located on the back of the card at the end of the signature bar. That is the 3-digit code that it is asking for in this section here under card security code, and you will need that in order to process the payment. Once you've entered your card, the card holder's name, number, expiry date, and the card security code, you can go ahead and select process payment. Ms. Tanrakulu, is this where you're taking over?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Pavlik-Trias, for that thorough step-by-step process explanation. After you apply, with regards to sending your transcripts, if you are an Ontario Secondary School student, a current Ontario Secondary School student, you do not have to send your transcript. What TDSB will be doing that for you. Final semester marks will be sent in February. Semester 2 midterm marks will be sent to the colleges at the end of April. And final semester 2 marks will be sent in July. But for specific dates of marks transmission, you are those specific dates are available in the important dates page, which is posted in the Guidance Google Classroom for students to see. But if students have any questions regarding marks transmission dates, again, they are always welcome to book an appointment with their guidance counselors, and we would be happy to answer any questions they may have. Also, regarding marks verification, we do recommend that all of the students log into their OCAS accounts regularly to make sure that all the information regarding their marks are correct. If there are any discrepancies, we highly encourage the students, again, to come down to guidance and let us know what the discrepancies may be, and we will take a look and make any adjustments if necessary. It is, again, the student's responsibility to make sure that they're logging into their account and making sure that all of the information is accurate. Regarding English language proficiency, Ms. Dobbin had touched upon this. It is usually when you do look at the academic requirements for program entry, you will see that a lot of the program requirements require English language proficiency, not only for students that may have not started high school in Canada, but also for students who may have started and graduated high school in Canada. So specific English language proficiency requirements will be stated in the academic requirements. However, if you have any questions, again, you are welcome to contact the college and ask them specifically what kind of requirements are required. So again, if a student has any questions pertaining to this, they are welcome to ask their guidance counselor. However, we do encourage students to contact the colleges and programs of interest and ask the colleges directly regarding these type of entrance requirements. We also highly encourage students to visit the websites of the specific colleges they may be interested in. When you go into the websites, there always will be a tab regarding open houses and specific dates and times. Usually colleges have open houses available several times throughout the year. And these open houses are very, very important in terms of students making the decision as to which school and campus they would like to go to. It's always nice to be able to see the environment that you will be spending the next 2 to 4 years potentially. So it's always great to go visit, to walk around, take a look at the libraries, take a look at the different sort of faculties, and this will most definitely help in making the right decision for you. Also, some of our students do have individual education plans. It's very important that if you do want the accommodations to continue on to your post-secondary program of choice, it's important that you contact the accessibility office. Each college and university, they do have accessibility offices. And it's very important that once you contact the Accessibility Services office, you will be in contact with a coordinator. The coordinator will then arrange for a meeting. They will ask for specific formal documentation regarding the specific accommodations that are required. Normally, this would consist of a full psychoeducational report, preferably a recent one within the last 3 to 5 years. However, the Accessibility Services Coordinator will go over the specific details for their particular college with the family once you contact them during your meeting. And once all of the accommodations are recorded, information to the professors and instructions regarding the student specific accommodations will be provided so that the student will have access to those accommodations. So if you do have an IEP, you have a formal disability, you have that's recorded on a psychoeducational assessment, and you want those accommodations to continue, once you decide on the institution and the program that you will be attending, you must contact the accessibility office. So that brings us to the end of our How to Apply to College information session. Not only did we go over the step-by-step instructions on how to apply to college through the ontariocolleges.ca website, we also went over important information pertaining to research, how to conduct the research, how to record and keep your research organized. We also went over important dates and deadlines, and also very importantly, how to read your credit counseling summary to ensure that you have the appropriate number of credits and you are working towards your graduation requirements. Again, if you're not sure and you have any questions, please, we encourage all students to book a guidance appointment with their guidance counselor, and we will go over the specifics with that student. We'd be happy also to meet with parents and answer any questions that you may have. Again, this particular presentation is being recorded and will be posted on not only the Guidance Google Classroom for our students to access, but also on www.northviewheights.ca in the Guidance tab under Post-Secondary Education, and you'll be able to view this whole presentation in its entirety again, and you will be able to then view any specific areas that you may want to go over. Thank you very much for attending our How to Apply to College information session, and we wish everybody a wonderful evening.